Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 Origin Continent based on novel. So let's start. I admit, I can't find any flaws in these 15 avatars. Luo Feng nodded gently. Let's move on to the next step. Luo Feng had heard about how long Elder Starlight spent breaking laws with force, so he was already prepared for endless, long years. His cultivation plan also divided into many steps. The first step is to comprehend all primordial bloodlines and materials, the second step is to create the Tao, and the third step is practice. Single-mindedly seeking enlightenment, I can no longer find flaws. The next step is practice. The first phase of practice is to test survival ability. Luo Feng thought, my primordial life and death Tao focuses on life, pursuing an extremely large body, and pursuing extremely strong survival capability. So let's see how the survival capabilities of these 15 avatars are. In this quiet room of Luo Feng's cave mansion, the space-time scope is vast, and a ground array appears inside the quiet room. All 15 avatars flew into this formation. These 15 avatars, each in a 1/10 extreme state, in comparison with each other, it's quite fair. If these avatars were all to maintain the most extreme state, it would put a heavy burden on the soul, and Luo Feng could not maintain 15 extreme avatars simultaneously. Reducing each to only a 1/10 extreme state made the soul much more relaxed. Begin imitating the attacks of innate primordial life. Luo Feng spoke, gradually increase the strength from high-level primordial life, attacking these 15 avatars with the same intensity. Cultivator Luo Feng, the attack strength will start from the early stage of high-level primordial life level. A gentle voice sounded. Then, deep blue flames appeared out of thin air within this vast formation, burning each avatar. With the capabilities of the land of origin, it can easily maintain power at the world-level primordial perfection level. As the power continues to climb, the land of origin can still manage it. But that would require a huge amount of reward points. The 15 Luo Feng avatars, each sitting cross-legged, felt relaxed as the deep blue flames burned them. Later, the deep blue flames suddenly turned into deep blue frost, extremely cold permeating each avatar, while the space vibrated slightly, countless spatial blades enveloped the avatars. Various attacks descended, and these 15 avatars remained unscathed. The power increased to the mid-stage, level of high-level primordial life. The gentle voice sounded. The power increased to the late stage, level of high-level primordial life. The power level gradually increased. Some damage began to appear on parts of the avatar surfaces, but slight damage was instantly repaired under their immense life force. The power level increased to the early stage of the world-level primordial. A wave of fluctuations covered the 15 avatars within the entire formation, resulting in a qualitative transformation of power from high-level primordial perfection to the early stage of world-level primordial. The previously more relaxed 15 avatars were severely injured. Hua tilde tilde. The most severely affected avatar, with silver-white scales on its surface, had all these silver-white scales shattered under an invisible fluctuation. The covered layers of skin, flesh, and fascia quickly disintegrated and vanished, leaving only the black gold-colored bones resisting. This avatar had only a framework left, and the skeletal force still protected hundreds of origins within. As the might gradually increased, the skeleton started to crack, and the origins began to disintegrate. Only a few moments passed. The skeleton completely turned to powder, all the origins vanished, and only 14 avatars remained inside the formation. Avatar number 2 is the first to disintegrate. Luo Feng was very pleased to see this scene. Its mind consciousness system route was wrong. Although it wasn't apparent before, under this attack, and by comparing the state of the 15 avatars, Luo Feng immediately realized the significant root error of the second avatar. In pursuit of an extremely large physical body, I reduced the strength of the mind consciousness commander. But the result was that while the body grew larger, the protective ability of the flesh and bones weakened. The mind consciousness system pursues perfect control over each portion of power consciousness. As the body grows larger, the demand on the mind consciousness system increases. Luo Feng's second avatar's thought process was to slightly reduce the demands. Lowering the degree of mind consciousness control allows for a more rough control over a significantly larger body. But the result is, against attacks of the same level, the larger, but rougher controlled, body was the first to collapse. Boom. Aside from the terrifying fluctuations within the formation, frost aura began to appear, intending to freeze each of Luo Feng's avatars, while the terrifying fluctuations tried to vibrate and tear apart every bit of body strength. The remaining avatar's injuries quickly became severe. Avatar number 9 is not going to hold on. Luo Feng carefully assessed. Avatar number 9 was entirely covered with deep green scale armor, incredibly tough, and in the face of the terrifying ice and frost, the armor only showed slight cracks. However, the muscles and bones inside this avatar had already begun to disintegrate and vanish. Though the surface scale armor was strong, the inside was weak, and the origins began to vanish as well. For this 9th avatar, I used the dual parallel creation concept. I really liked the immortal effect of the Star Tower blood scale. So for this avatar, I simultaneously used the origin system and blood scale system as two core elements, yet the result was weakened survival ability. It was the second to disintegrate among the 15 avatars. As time passed, under the increasing power of the world-level primordial early stage, with the power strengthening, one avatar after another disintegrated. Of the 15 avatars, 3 were created with the dual parallel concept, and all of them have now disintegrated. This shows that the dual parallel route is wrong. Wanting both results in neither being strong enough. The power slowly increased, and one avatar after another fell apart. The power has risen to the mid-phase of world-level primordial, the gentle voice echoed again. At this moment, the power within the formation was terrifyingly extreme. Ordinary high-level primordial life forms would turn to dust upon entering. Even newly ascended world-level primordial beings, whose dharma weren't yet perfected, wouldn't last long inside the formation. At this moment, Luo Feng still had 3 avatars resisting. The earlier 12 avatars had all collapsed during the primordial early stage of the world level, allowing Luo Feng to identify each of their flaws and gain great insights. Boom. The space within the formation was already distorted, with strands of black flames burning everywhere, and toxic mist covering the skin, muscles, and bones of Luo Feng's 3 avatars, making the situation extremely dire for each. Among these 3 avatars, one was the 7th avatar, the smallest of the 15 avatars. Despite its small size, its entire body was like a weapon, still persisting. Another was the 12th avatar, the largest of the 15, whose whole body resisted the attacks under the control of the mind consciousness system. The last one was the 11th avatar, slightly smaller than the 12th. This meant that out of the 15 avatars, the 2 largest and the smallest held out the longest. This 11th avatar, Luo Feng was shocked. I pursued a larger physical body and adopted the same approach as the 2nd avatar, reducing the control of the mind consciousness system. The 2nd avatar was the first to be eliminated, but the 11th one has persisted until now. Boom. The physical bodies of the 3 avatars completely collapsed almost simultaneously. During the collapse, the first 2 avatars disintegrated entirely, leaving nothing behind. Only the 11th avatar had 10,000 origins still suspended despite its physical body being obliterated. Under this terrifying assault, these 10,000 origins intertwined like a star array, collectively resisting external attacks. These origins had a stronger resistance to external assaults than the previous flesh and bones. This 11th avatar, its origin, has a stronger survival capability than the physical body. Luo Feng stared at the 10,000 origins in shock and delight. This was an extraordinary scenario. Life forms, like the innate primordial beings, always had physical bodies far stronger than their life cores. Once the physical body couldn't withstand, the life core too would easily be breached. Yet his 11th avatar's physical body disintegrated, while the 10,000 origins still endured. The power continued to ascend, with various thunders striking down. The thunder struck down wrathfully, causing the 10,000 origins to begin disintegrating, but the others still resisted. Each origin's survival ability was formidable, stubbornly supporting for over 100 breaths of time, but as their numbers dwindled, the disintegration accelerated, eventually leading to complete obliteration. Ha ha ha. Outside the formation, Luo Feng was ecstatic. I understand, I understand. The 11th avatar adopted reduced mind consciousness system control, an enormous mistake. It weakened the physical body's defense. Yet it had a tremendous advantage. It was created using the origin core creation method, producing the most perfect version. In creating the primordial life and death Tao, I always thought starting with the half primordial life and death path as the seed, constructing step by step, like building a house starting with the foundation, was the correct approach. Yet with the 11th avatar, I constructed the origin system first, then built other systems around it, entirely ignoring the half primordial life and death path. Ha ha, this is correct. This suits me best. Luo Feng fully understood. For the ultimate primordial life and death Tao, there's only one core, the origin core. Everything revolves around it, constructing the Tao. As for the half primordial life and death path, all my insights and mysteries stem from it. It's inherently a seed that, within my mind, has already blossomed into letting me comprehend the 6 major systems. The 6 major systems all originate from the half primordial life and death path. When building the Tao, there's no need to rigidly start with it. Starting with it might even be restrictive. The Tao has a core. Origin is the core, everything else revolves around it. Begin. Having absorbed the experiences of the 15 avatars, with successful achievements and lessons from failures, Luo Feng was confident he could create a more perfect version of the primordial life and death Tao. Luo Feng first constructed the 3 longest-lasting avatars, using their advantages to significantly enhance spiritual thought processing speed and comprehension. Then, starting to create the Tao. A secret pattern was etched in the void. This time, Luo Feng started by constructing the origin system. Coming up tomorrow, Lord Luo is about to be born. Luo Feng's origin system is still different from the ancestor's life core. The ancestor's life core is born inherently. With evolution, the life core advances step by step. The life core encompasses the mysteries of many Taos, endless energy, and even the soul. Therefore, once the life core shatters, the ancestors must perish. The lords, clearly without fatal weaknesses, naturally Luo Feng would not create a fatal flaw for himself. After comprehending the mysteries of the origin, he created the origin system most suited for himself. Luo Feng's origin does not encompass the soul. It merely accumulates endless energy. It does not have the capability to evolve, nor does it contain a soul. It's a simplified version of the life core. In terms of a single origin, it is far inferior to the ancestor's life core. But if there were billions of origins, the thickness of life power would far exceed those ancestors. Strip away weakness, extract strengths, grasp the essence. With the primordial as the foundation, the mind as the guide, life and death interweaved, transforming into the origin. The billions of origins themselves cannot evolve. Luo Feng doesn't need them. As a cultivator, their strength lies in penetrating the essence of power. Tao is immortal, then the Lord is undying and undying. This time, it is far more perfect than the previous 15 avatars. It should definitely advance further toward the primordial life and death Tao. Luo Feng, despite failing tens of millions of times, does not believe that he will succeed this time. But as long as he can make progress, success is getting closer and closer. Land of Origin. Brother Qianlang can break through from high-level primordial life to world-level primordial, and even comprehend the bloodline to break through, truly remarkable. 3 figures gathered together, drinking and chatting. A man with curved horns sighed and said, "It's also luck, just happening to encounter a primordial bloodline exceptionally suited to me." Qianlang humbly said, remaining modest in front of world-level primordial beings, for he knew this was probably his limit. Comprehending world-level primordial bloodline over 70%, Brother Qianlang has a profound foundation, with prospects to achieve world-level primordial perfection. Another elder with a red nose praised. Qianlang smiled faintly. He always pursued comprehension of the bloodline over 70%, just for the hope of reaching world-level primordial perfection. Of course, this was also his limit. It was heard that those fusion Tao cultivators, before jumping out of the braided cage, even with such low mental operation speed and comprehension, comprehended multiple world-level primordial bloodlines. The potential for comprehension is far stronger than Qianlang. Those fusion Tao cultivators, when walking the bloodline path, except for the Lord Nai Jiyu, could not become lords. Qianlang, who cultivated from high-level primordial, saw no hope of becoming a lord. Brother Qianlang is the 186th world-level primordial along the bloodline path. The man with curved horns said, "The bloodline path has also birthed Lord Nai Jiyu. We might create miracles, and a lord will emerge. Brother Guangyu, you have high talent, you might have a chance." "I have no thoughts at all." The elder with a red nose chuckled and said, "I dug deep into the bloodline potential to become a world-level primordial. As for Lord, I dare not even think." "I dare not think either." Qianlang said, "Brother Guangyu, you are a fusion Tao cultivator, your talent is far superior to ours." The man with curved horns chuckled. Before jumping out of the braided cage, he comprehended 5 types of world-level primordial bloodlines. After becoming a world-level primordial, the immense life-level elevation allowed him to easily comprehend hundreds of world-level primordial bloodlines. This is quite a common standard among fusion Tao cultivators. Like Lord Nai Jiyu, Starlight Lord, in the weak state before jumping out of the braided cage, could comprehend hundreds of world-level primordial bloodlines, proving terrifying comprehension potential. Brother Qianlang, after becoming world-level primordial for several epochs, has Lord Yuan never summoned you? The man with curved horns asked. No, Qianlang also felt somewhat uneasy. The lords have countless avatars, long-term stationed avatars at the land of origin. The man with curved horns pondered, even if they are out fighting, it still does not affect them inviting some juniors, nor affect them handling some ordinary affairs. The emergence of new world-level primordial life is quite an important event. Why has it been delayed and not addressed? The lords naturally have their arrangements, we need not worry. The elder with a red nose smiled and said, "We just need to follow the lord's arrangements." The man with curved horns was slightly taken aback, then smiled, "Yes, follow the lord's arrangements." Qianlang nodded. As a newly promoted world-level primordial, yet always unarranged, his heart was always suspended. Land of origin, beside the dark lake. 7 lords gathered here, waiting patiently, waiting for the turning point of this war to appear, waiting for their future companion to appear. Yuan, Jin, Wulan, Ming Huang, Nai Jiyu, Starlight, Mo Man, 7 lords simultaneously looked toward the primordial island. A breakthrough. Yuan's eyes filled with unconcealable joy, having walked all the way from the weakest period of the cultivator camp. At that time, the entire cultivator camp was food for the innate primordial life camp. He could only shelter a small area by himself. Step by step to today, every birth of a lord made Yuan happy. Luo Feng's arrival represents another powerful existence in their cultivator camp. Wonderful. Jin laughed. The face with silver scales originally cold now displayed a radiant smile. Since being received to date, the actual time of seclusion is just over 25 epochs, yet he has already broken through. Starlight, he is much faster than you. Fast is good, fast is good. Starlight smiled and praised. He just became a lord and is still quite immature, but as a lord of primordial life and death Tao, the path he follows is destined to adept at frontal combat than me. Starlight exists across past, present, and future countless timelines, aiding the cultivator camp significantly in space-time. His assassination also poses a headache for the innate primordial life camp. But frontal combat requires a sufficiently powerful life form, sufficiently terrifying attack. He actually broke laws with force, Wulan sighed, just like the Starlight. Yes, break laws with force. Ming Huang, Nai Jiyu, and Mo Man were all emotionally stirred. As lords, they understand the significance of breaking laws with force. Aside from the Starlight Lord, the other six, all first became world-level primordial life forms, and only then, leveraging their cognitive, observational, and comprehension advantages at this life level, comprehended the Tao of the primordial level. However, those who break laws with force are the weak beings under the braided cage, forcibly comprehending the supreme Tao of the primordial level. What kind of comprehension is this? Once they become a lord, after a massive leap in life level, their cognitive, observational, and comprehension abilities reach new levels, and their strength has the potential to further improve. Lords indeed grasp the essence of the highest level of power. But there still lies a difference in strength. The Starlight Lord has taken that step. The oldest cultivator, Yuan, has taken half a step forward as well. In their view, they believe that Luo Feng, who breaks laws with force, will also take that step. The land of origin itself is special, and after being refined and arranged by us 7 lords into a formation and hidden in this time and space, everything here is completely concealed, said Lord Nai Jiyu. But once Luo Feng's avatar from his home tries to break through, it will be discovered by the outside world. Rest assured, I have locked the time-space of the quiet room in the cave mansion where Luo Feng is in retreat. At the moment Luo Feng fully breaks through, I will immediately alert him, said Starlight. Other lords nodded in agreement. Luo Feng's breakthrough must remain confidential, Yuan said. Only then can we achieve a successful surprise attack. We've got to deal a hard blow to those ancestors. Make them pay a sufficient price. Jin's eyes bore a killing intent. This is the war with the greatest losses we've ever faced. Numerous world clusters have fallen, countless creatures have perished. Ming Huang's eyes flickered with golden thunder. Those ancestors must suffer a heavy price. The birth of a new lord must remain confidential. If Luo Feng is exposed, those ancestors might temporarily retreat. Even if they don't, as long as they are mentally prepared and ready to withhold power to counter the ambush, the effectiveness of the ambush would be greatly diminished. First, wait for Luo Feng's full breakthrough, Yuan said. At the moment, the 7 lords are all watching the quiet room in the cave mansion atop the peak of a mountain on Primordial Island. Luo Feng absorbed the experience and lessons of his previous 15 avatars. In this attempt to create the primordial life and death Tao, Luo Feng was prepared for failure and also prepared to endure through long ages. But what astonished Luo Feng was, this time, in creating the primordial life and death Tao, when it was more than halfway complete, visions began to appear. Wisps of deep cyan power emerged around the secret pattern map. These wisps of deep cyan power circled the secret pattern map, flowing as the secret patterns did. Luo Feng could sense that these deep cyan powers was some kind of highest level power. Tao is power. Luo Feng could perceive this process. Primordial force is the most basic power existing in the infinite primordial space. But this power, drawn by the mostly formed Tao, was naturally transformed, becoming the highest level power. A Tao more than half formed already becomes the highest level of power. Luo Feng understood he was on the right path this time, and he had completed the most crucial core part by himself. Walking 90 miles, still 10 miles off. At this point, putting forth all efforts is more critical. Luo Feng continued to perfect the primordial life and death Tao, integrating secret patterns one by one into it. The vast secret pattern map bore cyan, black, and deep cyan secret patterns. In the outer regions of the secret pattern map, cyan and black secret patterns wove together. The deeper he went, the more the two-colored secret patterns gradually merged, finally into one, turning into deep cyan secret patterns that formed the origin. As the spiritual consciousness system finally completed, the entire secret pattern map shimmered with a faint golden light. With the last step, the physical body system was completed, and the secret pattern map lit up with a faint blood light, somewhat resembling the star tower blood scale. Boom! A massive, perfect secret pattern map emerged. Luo Feng gazed at it. It was the culmination of his endless efforts, his comprehension of the most perfect Tao. At the moment of its achievement, Luo Feng felt his life continued through the Tao. In the past, Luo Feng needed to rely on avatars to survive. Now, though, Tao is also a part of his life. He could exist through the Tao wherever the Tao was, he was. He could cast down avatars in vast and boundless areas, small as they were. Those avatars could absorb energy and grow. Finally, I have created the primordial life and death Tao. Luo Feng was emotionally stirred, looking at the secret pattern map glimmering with various hues before him. With a thought, the secret pattern map vanished without a trace. Tao can be tangibly manifest, or completely invisible. I finally did it. Real secluded retreat time, just over 2.5 billion eras, and he succeeded. The external elapsed time was less than 2,000 eras, and in such a brief time, the war situation hadn't changed much. The source world of the land of origin was still intact. Luo Feng, congratulations on taking this step. Starlight Lord's voice sounded in Luo Feng's ear. This video will end here.